Hi, I'm Antonio Centeno, the founder of Real Men Real Style. Today, I'm going to be talking about jacket lapels and the different types you're going to see out there. All right, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. By doing that, these videos will come right to you. And if you like this video, I would appreciate it if you would click on the like down below. And we've also got, when you're down there, a free 47-page ebook. The link to it is right there. And when you grab this ebook, you're also going to be on our email list where we not only send you some great style tips, but in addition, we also make it available. We're going to have some giveaways. I've got a pretty cool briefcase I'm going to be giving away soon, in addition to ties and some other pretty cool stuff, which I make available to only people on the email list. Okay, so the question that came in was talking about lapel types. And I'm going to quickly talk about notch lapels, peak lapels, and shawl lapels, and I'll spend a little bit of time on the different variants, which you see. They're really just breakoffs of some of these other ones, but such as the sport lapel and a few other ones. Okay, so let's get to the notch lapel. This is the most common lapel you're going to see out there. It's on the vast majority of jackets, and there's a reason for this. It's actually the least expensive to manufacture and the easiest one to get right. So it's a very safe one you're going to see on the vast majority of jackets out there, and it's what I have here. So you've got like this little notch right here. That's why it's called the notch lapel, and it basically is connecting this front part of the jacket to the shoulder part right here, to the collar. So this jacket, again, this type of lapel is perfectly fine for everything except formal wear. So once we get into formal wear, and that's where you're going to start to see these other types of lapels, although they're not restricted specifically to formal wear. So let's talk about the peak lapel. This one is much more uncommon, and it's a more formal type of lapel. And this is where you're going to have these points that go up right over here on the shoulder, and it's a little bit more stylish of a detail. Now, the thing with the peak lapel is it's the most expensive lapel to manufacture. So that's one of the reasons you don't see it on a lot of jackets, is manufacturers are always looking to save a little bit of money, so why go with a peak? Also, men aren't necessarily used to it. So it's something that when they look at a jacket with a peak lapel, they can't necessarily put it into words, but for some reason it feels a little bit more fashion forward. And the peak lapel, even though it is 100% classic, has been around for over 100 years and is the right choice for formal wear, it is something that I think a man needs to be. I don't recommend it for a first suit, although a peak lapel on a single-breasted suit, and let's say it's your second or third jacket, I think it looks pretty sharp. And if you go for a blazer that you want to dress up, it's going to be made from, let's say, a solid dark navy, and everything else on it is very sleek, very classic, then I think even on a blazer, you can go with the peak lapels. But remember, the peak lapel always going to be a bit more formal, and you always see peak lapels on double-breasted jackets. Quickly, I didn't touch on this on notch lapels. If you see a notch lapel on a tuxedo or anything black tie, that technically is wrong. Now, if you already have one in your wardrobe, I'm not going to say don't wear it, but it's something that if you're out there looking for black tie, always go with either a peak lapel or the third type I'm going to talk about, which is the shawl lapel. So the shawl lapel it has a very rounded, you'll see it's very rounded, no notch cut in. And so that rounded, very soft edge, and it's usually a bit thinner as well. So they're very thin. This is something reserved for formal wear. It's an alternative to the peak. It came about a little bit later. It is a little bit more fashion forward, and on the right type of man, I think on a man who's well built, who perhaps is a little bit bigger up in the arms and chest area, this type of lapel looks great. Because if you wear a peak when you actually your chest is built up, it can actually make your chest look even larger. So a shawl does a great job. The only people I don't recommend the shawl lapel for is if you've got a very rounded face, then it's going to complement your face almost too much, and it's going to, by mimicking your face, it actually is going to make it look a little bit larger. So if you have a round face, you're a little bit, let's say, larger, portly, avoid the shawl lapel and go for the more jagged lines of the peak lapel. Okay, so I talked about other types of lapels out there. And in fact, if you look at some of my other videos, you will see that I wear a sport lapel. And this is a lapel that was actually designed, it's historically correct in the sense that I can wear my jacket like this. So if you can imagine this, whenever you see jackets you only see jackets like this that button all the way up to the top and have a neck covering in the military. I know my military dress uniforms were all like that, and that's where you'll see usually a 5 or a 6 button front. But that's where historically our our jackets come from military wear. In a sense, they were derived off of those lines. So when you see this type of, when you see that sport lapel that I'm wearing, technically that's so that I could button this up all the way. I've seen in a lot of fashion magazines and a lot of very stylish men are starting to actually change the color under here. And whenever they're out, they will actually flip that collar up. If you've got style and if it looks good and you can pull it off, you know, why not? Because it actually serves a functional, I mean, it will keep you a bit warmer and protect the wind, you know, protect your neck from the wind. Other ones you're going to see out there are going to be where you're going to see variations of the notch. So this notch right here, we're talking, you know, not too many, I don't know, maybe what? It's going to be 90, 100, and maybe 110 degrees to probably 90 degrees is going to be the normal, you know, normal angle we're going to see here in the notch. Once the notch starts closing up and we start seeing like 60 degrees, 45 degrees, or it opens up considerably and you get a very wide notch, maybe over 145 degrees, then in that case, we're starting to see a different style. Tailors will play with this. They'll go for different looks. You know, it's up to you. If you do something like that, it's a very slight adjustment, and you can only get that usually on a custom suit that you're having made with a tailor that knows what he's doing. Have fun with it if this is going to be your 4th or 5th suit and you are into custom suits. If not, you know, whenever you see that on a jacket, if it looks like it's a bit extreme there, you probably want to avoid that if this is going to be one of your only suits. It's just going to make it more of a fashion suit than a classically stylish suit. So again, notch, peak, shawl, and in that order are, you know, in a sense is going to be your safety net in terms of if you're only going to own one suit, if you don't get into suits, go for the notch lapel. If you own quite a few suits, then you can start looking at the peak and maybe even the shawl lapel. All right, this has been Antonio Centeno with Real Men, Real Style. If you like this video, again, like it down below, and I will see you in the comments. Bye-bye.